if they want to write some things down in the second half? Okay, great. We'll be collecting some more at the end. I do need this, actually. As you notice, I'm the only one up here allowed to have notes. Unless, what's in that laptop there?
Not notes.
You're afraid I'm going to take it away from you. Okay. All right. So here are some of your mixing them up, because it's always fun to do that. Okay. So this is again some of your words and reflections on what hope is. So hope is necessary always. Oops. Something we can build in each other. Knowing that things will be okay and life will go on even when it seems like things are falling apart. Hope is knowing that things will be okay and comes from, I'm just going to say embracing the unknown. That was actually what was written there. Believing there will be a brighter tomorrow. Hope is the light in a dark forest. Hope keeps us optimistic. Hope is the lifeblood of perseverance that we can help each other find against all odds. Hope is not giving up even when you probably should. That's called insanity. Hope is the courage to accept what is possible. Okay. Hope is second chances. Hope is sustaining. Hope is what makes a patient's unmanageable pain manageable, and what makes a student's unbearable workload bearable, and keeps us all looking to tomorrow. Hope is to dream the impossible dream. Hope is license to envision a future. I just saw Dr. Nam come back here. Hope is no cavities at the dentist. Oh wow, okay. Hope is as big or as small as you like. It can be the hope that the new drug cures a rare disease, or it can be the hope that the night nurse, the night nurse swipes you an extra vanilla pudding. All should be cultivated with care to best serve those who manifest them. Hope is believing it's possible, there is a way. Hope is envisioning a new normal. Hope enables dreams and enables the hard work to reach them. Hope is fist pumps from homeless individuals as I walk down the street, and being able to do hair for the prom. All right, thanks very much. Give yourselves a round of applause for this. Okay, so our second half, it's a new frontier for us to have a group of storytellers here. So it's very exciting to introduce our three storytellers who will be taking us through the second half of our evening. Dr. Jan Gurley is the medical director of Surrey Senior Center, and she's also a writer. She's published a variety of outlets, including SF Gate, where she produced a series of multimedia articles about the health impact of homelessness, for which she was awarded the Saffron Foundation's Media Award. She also writes for the Center for Health Journalism and is on the advisory board for the Annenberg Center's Healthcare Journalism Fellowships. Her work spans a wide range of topics, both academic and mainstream, and she is the principal author of a paper in the New England Journal of Medicine about patients who are found helpless or dead in their homes, the so-called Found Down study, as well as an article in Salon about the arrogance of physicians' self-naming diseases, where she claimed one for herself. Here we go. The Gurley stages of menopausal breast saggage. Sherry Barnes is the nurse manager at Curry Senior Center. She has served the most complicated and traumatized patients in homeless clinics in both Washington, D.C. and San Francisco. Someone wrote here that as the nurse manager at Curry, she is the heart of our clinic. She brings compassion, innovation, and a roll-up-your-sleeves attitude to the vulnerable and complex geriatric patients we serve, patients who often face the biggest clinical, emotional, and social challenges of their lives. And finally, we have Sharon Johnson, former chef at the Jewish Home. She has been a primary care patient at both Potrero Hill Health Center and now Curry Senior Center. She has experienced many aspects of our healthcare system, including specialty care, hospital care, rehabilitation at Laguna Honda Hospital, and emergency care. She brings wisdom and insight and humor to life's most complex and challenging issues. Put your hands together for Jan Gurley, Sherry Barnes, and Sharon Johnson.
Sharon and Sherry, I feel like I've missed out on the name game as just a Jan. I am here to just introduce the other stars of the second half. I thought I would start though by sharing a quote from Maya Angelou, which says that there is no greater agony than bearing a story inside you. And I mention that because as I was going through my training, I'm kind of a failed sub-specialist. I ended up in primary care when I was really on a launching pad to something very different. And one of the things I noticed, and one of the reasons I did, was the stories that people told. In subspecialty care, there's some really dramatic and fabulous stories. They often revolve around the provider rushing in and doing something heroic and dramatic. What I found was that in primary care, the stories are more longitudinal. They're not so episodic. And they're often about the heroes of the patients that we serve. Those are the really heroic stories. And when I was asked to speak tonight, the first person that sprang to mind when I was thinking about a hero story is actually Sharon Johnson. She is an amazingly wonderful human who has shared her life with me in ways that have left me both richer, wiser, happier, and chuckling. And I mention it because there are some things that define a hero's journey. And I thought I would mention them to all of you. Probably you've heard of them, so forgive me if you have. But when you see it, I want you to imagine the most recent story that captivated you. Whether it was a movie or a book, they all tend to follow the same format. It's so deeply buried in our brainstem that you can start to feel it hook you even if you don't want it to. They all start with an inciting event. Then there is a resistance to the call. You don't really want to be the detective who takes the case. Maybe if you're Valentino Ding and What the What, David Egger's book, you shouldn't have answered the door. But once you do, everything starts to unfold. And then after that, there's some really important steps. One of them is meeting the mentor who's going to guide you. Keep these in mind as we talk to Sharon Johnson, because she intuitively follows all of the hero steps as she tells the stories of her life and her friends and her family. Right after meeting the mentor, there's often the arming together and figuring out who's the ally and who's the enemy. And that's figuring out the rules of the ordinary world. And what we often forget is our patients are stepping into our ordinary world. We rarely bother to learn what their ordinary world is. And as they figure out who's the ally and who's the enemy, sometimes it's not the disease, sometimes it's us. And after that, there is what we all know happens, which is approaching the innermost cave of the ordeal. Right after that, the person has to choose to seize the sword. And not long after that, there will be the point where the resurrection or the reward occurs. And there's a long journey back. Ms. Johnson has had this heroic encounter with our healthcare system over and over and over. And what is the point of a hero's journey? The point of a hero's journey is that the reward is the hope. And the reward is the lesson. And the reward is the transformation. So when I learned that tonight's story was about hope, there's no one more gifted at talking about that and the hero's journey that she and her friends and family have experienced as Sharon Johnson. So Ms. Johnson, do you mind telling them what you said the first time I said, when you think of hope, what is the story that springs to mind for you?
Well, the first story is how I lost my left leg. It was very accidental and unexpected and weird to me. I had 2 strokes, one in 2010, one in 2011. The one I had in 2010, I was able to get right up off the doctor's bed and walk to the bathroom. The one in 2011, I wasn't so lucky. I was having dinner with my brother for Father's Day, and I conked out and fainted right into my dinner plate. They rushed me to the hospital. I found out I had a second stroke. I lost all feeling in my left side. Sometime between June 10th, that day, and somewhere else, because of my total paralysis on the left side, I stepped on a tack. And the tack remained in my toe for I don't know how long. One day, I was putting on my slipper, I bent down to put it on, and I smelled this horrible odor. I told my sister, I hope this odor is not coming from my vagina, because I smelled something terrible. And because I was bent over, I thought it was my vagina. So I told my sister, we better go to the doctor so I can get a pap smear. Something's really wrong. So she said, no, I just gave you a shower, and I bent down there, there was no odor coming from there. So finally, she lifted up my leg or something and looked under my foot, and there was a tack in my toe. I went to the wound clinic. The doctor said that the tack had been there a long time, and that the odor I smelled was coming from gangrene. They took some blood tests, and he told me it has moved up to the knee. So I passed back out, and when I woke up, I had a huge bumblebee-style bandage on my knee. And my mother had told them to go ahead and take the leg, because there was nothing they could do. The gangrene had moved up, and it would move up further if I didn't get rid of the leg. So they cut the leg. When I woke up I woke up later on in the evening to this big bloody bandage, and I passed out again. I have never fainted so much in my life, but it was just too much going on. And so I went to Laguna Honda, and I stayed there for 18 months, waiting for an artificial leg. I finally got the artificial leg, and it would not fit. So they had to make another one. That one didn't fit. So finally the doctor said, we're gonna have to cut your leg open and move the bone so that we can make these legs fit. So I said, well, you know what? I won't be getting a leg, because I don't want no more cuts, no more surgeries. So I didn't get it. So I still don't have the use of the artificial legs that I have, because my leg needs surgery. And I'm not doing that. So hopefully we'll be able to work something out. So right now I'm waiting for some special therapy and to find out if Medicare will pay for one more leg, because they've already made 2 and they don't want to pay for another one. So hopefully, with Dr. Gurley, this woman works miracles. I will get another leg. And so she just got me a hospital bed, and they told me 6 times I couldn't have another one. She called and got me one. So hopefully,
It's my secret hospital bed wand. I only pull it out every once in a while.
anyway, I got the bed and I'm working. I'm hopefully gonna be able to put on one of these legs and get up and use it. So that's what I'm waiting for right now. And this has been since 2012. I lost my leg 9/26/2012. So I'm waiting.
So, Ms. Johnson, one of the things I asked you was, how did you find hope in all this?
Because I wanted to take I promised my grandkids I was gonna take them to Disneyland. So that was my hope. I said, well, because they still ask me 6 years later, Grandma, when are you taking us to Disneyland? So I gotta get one of these legs on so that we can go. So I said, as soon as I get my leg, we're going to Disneyland. So that's my hope.
Now, one of the things we talked about too, over time, is that primary care is different from any other kind of being a doctor.
It is. I hope some of you students are definitely planning on being primary care physicians. We need them. You don't want to be in a clinic where you're just hopping around from one doctor to another, or you go to the doctor and who's ever there treats you. It is really terrible. You have to go from Dr. Parker to Dr. Baker, because every time you go, there's another doctor. That's not the kind of physician you need. You need someone who you can trust, talk to, and know it's gonna be there. When you go there, you know you're gonna see Dr. Gurley, because that's your primary doctor. So that's what you need. We need a lot more of those primary care physicians.
And one of the things we talked about too is what you think makes a successful primary care physician.
Well, the first thing you need to be a good primary care doctor, you need to gain the trust from your patient. Your patient needs to trust whatever you say is the right thing for you. Not that you don't have a choice, but that they're looking out for you. And they think that this is the right thing, the right way for you to go. And I like that, because you don't need a doctor telling you, oh, no, 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 when you're trying to tell them you would like to have another choice. But that doesn't mean that you don't listen to your doctor. You gotta trust your doctor. You got to have a good relationship with your doctor. That's why you need a primary doctor. You don't want to have to go to 6 doctors and tell each one of them your life story about what happened to you medically. You want somebody that knows. They know your story, they know what happened to you, and you can feel okay coming in and talk to them. It's good. When I see Dr. Gurley, she already knows. She knows everything except anything new I have to tell her about how I feel. She knows I have high blood pressure, I'm a diabetic. She knows all of that. So when I go in to see her, I'm totally comfortable. And that's what you need. You need a doctor that's gonna hang on to you. That's why you need a primary care doctor.
Ms. Johnson, earlier tonight, we were talking about some of your frustrations with people who won't get rid of their doctor or change their doctor.
Well, my brother Fred, who is 59, has always had some kind of problem with his doctor, and he's been with her a long time. I said, Fred, you need to get another doctor. He was having pain, muscle pain, everything. His doctor immediately said, he had fibromyalgia. And I told him to see another doctor. He finally did. He found out he had cancer of the blood. And he was very upset. He said, she'd taken 1 million tubes of blood. Why didn't she know that I had cancer? I said, because she was too busy telling you what you had instead of listening and paying attention. Because he was having all the signs of cancer when he saw the second doctor. He said, well, you got all the signs of cancer. I don't know why she didn't know. So he was taking Lyrica, and that was really affecting his cancer, because you don't take another medicine like that when you have cancer. You need to be treated with a cancer medication. So he went into the hospital, and he got many, many weeks of chemo, which made him very sick. And because he had taken all these other medicines, because of what the doctor said he had, it affected its chances of going into remission. So I told people, if your doctor not working for you, let them go. You can get another doctor. Don't hold on to doctors who aren't listening, paying attention, and hearing what you got to say, but they always want to tell you what's wrong. They need to hear you. And he finally went into remission after about 6 months. He was getting the right thing, medication and his therapy, and he finally went into remission. It was really hard for him. He had just gotten married 2 weeks before he went to the second doctor. They had a new baby they had adopted, and then he was very upset and hopeful that he would get well so he could help raise this baby and be with this woman he had married. Everything was up in the air. But it all worked out. They're doing great. They just bought a new house. Their baby's great. They're doing fine now. So I was really hope that people step outside the box and go get you another doctor. No. So I tell people that.
And one last thing you talked to me a little bit about, Sharon, was the relationship between trust and hope. Did you want to say anything else about that?
You have to trust your doctor. You got to trust your doctor. You got to be able to talk to them about anything. You got to believe what they tell you. If you don't, you don't need a doctor. Because a doctor is like a special friend who knows how to help you with your medical issues. And you need to have that relationship like I have with her.
So I have to jump in here to say, though, as you probably know, I have special people whispering in my ear all the time. And the reason Sherry's here tonight is she's really the way in which we ended up getting a lot of these doors open for you. We are your team.
Well, thank you,
We were
Sherry.
talking about, yes, we were talking about getting armed up and figuring out who your allies and your enemies are and figuring out the ordinary world. This is where Sherry comes in.
All right.
Yeah.
This woman sends in the whole United States Army. And I found out that Sherry helped her would open a lot of doors because, no, that's it.
Okay, well, again,
Thank you.
my name's Sherry. I'm the nurse manager of Curry Senior Center, and it's just been an honor to work with the population that I work with. At first, I was like, is geriatrics really something I want to do? I'm kind of close to them myself, I don't want to see that, But it's been a joy to work with some of the patients there. And the one special thing, you know, the one good thing about stories is they're not scripted, right? But I have to sometimes give myself little reminders about things that I'm going to talk about, so that's what the laptop is for. However, Ms. Johnson, I first encountered Ms. Johnson as an advice nurse at our clinic because we have this big, wonderful system that, you know, answers calls, gives advice. However, sometimes they come back to our clinic. And so I didn't know that she was Jan Gurley's patient. I had first started working at the clinic and encountered Mrs. Johnson several times. Before I even met her, I was like, okay, here's something, there's a concern from Ms. Johnson again. The one wonderful thing that I realized is every time I asked or gave Ms. Johnson instructions, she would follow them, being hopeful that wherever she would go, if she had to go somewhere for a more comprehensive evaluation, that wherever she was going, they were going to fix it, right? So that she can do the things that she wanted to do, like be with the grandchildren, right? One of these days we're going to go to Disneyland, right? She's going to walk up, she's going to go to Disneyland, and everybody's going to fall out, we're all going to cry, right? However, I just think about Ms. Johnson and all the things that we've asked her to do. I mean, some of these things that we can't really talk about now, but since I've been at Curry, she's been in this like complicated maze of different places she had to go. She has to go here to do this, she's got to go here to do that, she's got to go here to do this, and still, she's always been kind and gracious when we've asked her to do this next thing. And I want to tell all the students that are here, you have to remember that because of the way Ms. Johnson's look, she will receive care in a different way just because of the way that she looks. And that's unfortunate. And I'm not going to say that, I know the answer to that, but what I'm going to say is be very thoughtful when you see people like Mrs. Johnson who maybe can't advocate for themselves. I see people on the weekend call me that are like Ms. Johnson and saying, Sherry, can you help me with this? Sherry, can you help me with that look like her? I'm Mrs. Johnson, right? Every time I enter to a healthcare facility, I might get treated differently because of the way that I look. But I still have the same needs, the same concerns, the same medical issues. So I'm trying to make it easier for the next Ms. Johnson. Ms. Johnson is paving the way for me, right? I want to be able to give her the quality of life that she deserves. I want to be able to be the kind of conduit. I want to be able to say, okay, well, you know, I want Ms. Johnson to have this. I want her to get the leg. I want her to not have the operation. I want her to have this. I want her to have these things that other people might ordinarily think is just something that they would normally get throughout their lives, that Mrs. Johnson doesn't get because of the way she looks, right? I look at Ms. Johnson, and I think she's like a thread in like the quilt of my community, the African American community. And so I kind of want to take that thread and kind of weave it, take another thread, weave that, make sure that they're really nice and tight and stable, and make sure that they're in the center of this big giant quilt. Because I'm like on the edges, right? I haven't made it to the center yet. But if I crochet this quilt tight enough, secure enough, and with enough love, right? I'm going to make my path to the center much easier. So I just said, when you go through school, when you go throughout your careers, you think about the Mrs. Johnsons. You think about me, I'm Mrs. Johnson. Be extra attentive to the needs of the Mrs. Johnsons of this world. I have learned so much from her that I cannot explain all of the things all the situations that she's been through. I think of her as an African American, as one of the older women in my community. She is, right? So it's an honor for me to care and help Ms. Johnson navigate through her life, right? As it relates to Curry. And so I want to uplift, these elderly women or elders in my community and make a safe place, a very comfortable place for them to be able to live their lives and do some of the things that they think they're important. So that's what I want to say. That's my story. Always think about, Sherry said something about Miss Johnson. If you don't think about anything else, Miss Johnson is black. And there was something about Miss Johnson, and we're going to have to think about something about Miss Johnson, right? I can say her name 1,000 times, but I just want you to be able to be mindful about when you see people like us, maybe in your clinics or throughout your life. I have this joke. I always say, I just want help at Nordstrom's most of the time, right? That's my uplifting thing. I go out the door hopeful all the time because that's all I have. Ms. Johnson, do you go out the door hopeful all the time?
All the time, every day.
Well, that's what we have, right? That's what we got. And so that's what we look at, and that's what we hold on to. Faith, a little bit of hope, and a little bit of humor. And that's my story.
Thank you. That was so heartfelt and inspiring to hear how you all build connections to each other and gained so much from being in each other's lives in ways that you couldn't have imagined until you lived it. And that part about making sure you remember Sherry in your ear saying, remember Mrs. Johnson.
Yes.
That's a good one. That's a good touchstone to have because as we haven't talked about much tonight, but what I think your story speaks volumes about is how, what hope is kind of what binds us together as humanity. And if we don't see that humanity in each other, then we're all the lesser for it. And some people can suffer immediately from it, from that lack of humanity and humaneness, and others may not realize it until much later. But that is ultimately kind of what we have to give at the end of the day, no matter what. So thank you for sharing those experiences with us and your wisdom and your inspiration.
Thank you.
Miss Johnson, right?
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. So, do we have some additional reflections that people want to share? Did anyone write some things down in the last few moments, or were you so enwrapped by the stories? We don't have any others. Does anyone want to shout some out? Or are you too nervous to do something like that? Yeah? Quiet group tonight.
Can I ask?
Yes, Blue.
I'm wondering, from Sherry and Jan's perspective, do you think you've got more or you gave more in this?
Oh, there's no doubt. Definitely gotten. That is the magic of primary care, how hard the job can be.
Yeah, I definitely got more. I definitely got more. I'm a better person, and I think I'm a way better nurse from touching Miss Johnson's life, right? Because it's like a touch, right? Here and there. Sometimes it's a little longer than the last time. But others?
All right. So, sorry, I thought she was going to say something for the group. So I want to thank you for coming here tonight and talking about and listening to these stories as ways of binding us together as human beings, no matter what our station in life and where our place is in any particular structure or hierarchy or domain, that at the end of the day, the humanity that binds us together is the hope that things can get better, no matter how dark it may seem. So with that, I wish you good luck on your midterms for those of you taking them. It's going to be a bright day tomorrow, I can predict. Thanks for your attention. I invite up the organizers of tonight's evening who want to say some closing thoughts.
Thank you, Dr. Puckett, and thank you all again for coming here tonight. We have a small token of appreciation for all of our speakers and for Dr. Pache tonight, and again for all of you all. If you want to take any food to go, we have a lot, so please help us. And we just hope everyone had a really wonderful evening. We'll have another one hopefully in the winter? Fall? Yeah, fall. Look out, we'll have more of these. But again, thank you so much for coming tonight. We hope you enjoyed the evening. And thank you, the organizers. Yeah, we gave it all. Thank you so much. We have a song for you too.